rumors popping up about a popular Islanders player. We'll explain why they are probably not true. Plus, a full preview of this weekend's two big games against the Edmonton Oilers and Calgary Flames, and why the Islanders may be facing Edmonton at the very worst possible time. All that and more coming up on this weekend edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. So glad you could join us today and be part of the Locked On Islanders family. And thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Lots to talk about here on today's show. Big up this weekend against Edmonton and Calgary. We'll discuss why the Islanders may be playing the Oilers at the worst possible moment, plus some trade rumors out there about a popular Islanders forward. I don't think anything is imminent right now, but we'll break down the rumors and talk about what they mean. Plus, a present interim NHL head coach is our Islanders' birthday of the day. All that and more coming up on today's show. If you've got something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like us to talk about on the show, feel free to email us. The email address is lockedonislanders@gmail.com. You could also follow the show on Twitter at LockedOnIsles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game, so join me for instant insight and analysis, and always great to interact with fans during games and really any time. So again, hit me up at Twitter, and always great to talk hockey. And obviously, if you leave your first name and where you're from when you email us, we'll mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. So let's get started with this. Big win on Wednesday for the Islanders as they finally were able to put the loss to Seattle, the embarrassing loss to Seattle, behind them. Came out with a strong start to the game and a strong start to this important 4-game road trip, the 6-3 win over the Vancouver Canucks. But we know that the Islanders still have a long way to go if they want to get back into the playoff hunt. And it's going to take, as we mentioned, they've got to get at least, I would think, 70% of the remaining possible points for the second half of the season in order to just reach the 98 points that got a team into the playoffs in the last full season the NHL played, which was 2018. 2019. In the East, you needed 98 points that year to make the playoffs. And to get 98 points, again, the Islanders need 70% of the possible points. So unless they really get a winning streak going, and it doesn't happen in a row, you got to start stringing. A list of players who they feel could rumored to be going. Included in that list was Cal Clutter. And look, I love Cal Clutterbuck. Want to be dealt at this point, it does make sense that if the Islanders are not able to get back to who they may consider dealing, get an asset for him. Now, this is the last year of contract. It was a deal worth $17.5 million. He's come off next year unless, the Islanders could always knowing the way Lou does this, it's possible to keep Cizikas, Martin, Clutterbuck together and take a little less money than what he this time around. Stay on the island. He may reach Clutterbuck is 34 years old. He is a leader in the locker room, has been through the playoff wars, and is a role player who is lifting the level of players around him by his presence, the lineup. So if the Islanders, if they plan on bringing him here, they could trade Cal Clutterbuck at the deadline and then re-sign him when he becomes a agent next season, next off season, over the summer. That is always a distinct possibility. But you get on signing him again or trying to sign him again. You get a prospect, mid-round draft pick, or something for Clutterbuck where you probably wouldn't get anything for him if you let the contract expire and you don't plan on bringing him. So look, Martin and Cizikas both signed new deals over the last 2 seasons. And you know that Cizikas as a unit, all then what he brings to the table by himself, plus Martin, what he brings to the table by himself, plus Clutter, what he brings by himself. But they are all role players who make consider more money than their fourth line. So look, no. Do I think that they will trade Cal Clutterbuck before we feel they are officially not going to make the playoffs? That their chances of making the season, that it really doesn't make sense to hold on to him. Somebody bowls them over with an offer they can't refuse. And I don't think that we get to the point in the season, they're not going to the playoffs. Does it explore what you could get for Cal Clutterbuck, knowing that if you really want him back, you could bring him back because he's going to be a free agent next, this offseason. Yeah, I think it will get a third-round pick, a young player who could fit on your fourth line and a lot of next season for Kyle Clutterbuck. I don't think the trade is in a new list, and we'll keep an eye on it for you on today's show. Of course, we have a preview of both this weekend's games against Calgary and Edmonton. So we will have all of that, plus our Islanders' birthday of the day. All that and more still to come on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. This is the time of year I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's really not a resolution because I actually enjoy eating Built Bars. Have you tried the Puffs? Because if you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. Yes, protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy. They're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat, and they're covered in 100% chocolate. And Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors like yummy, cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. So good. These are going to be your new favorite. And all Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. And yes, that includes the Puffs. Most Built Bars contain just 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, only 4 net carbs, but they pack 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. At Built Bar, they are all about the taste. They make it delicious first, then they figure out how to make it healthy. I don't know how they do it, but they pull it off every time. Go to Built.com now. Use the promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Make sure to check out Olympic Hockey Daily. It's presented by Locked On NHL. It's a bonus podcast covering all the action in Beijing. You can find it on the Locked On NHL podcast feed. It's free and available on all platforms. So 2 games this weekend for the Island. And look, these things, they are not easy. I have no illusions about it. And both of the teams the Islanders are going to go up against are good teams. Edmonton has been struggling lately. We know that. And, the reason I open saying that this may be the worst possible moment for the Islanders to face the Oilers, they just fired Tippett on Thursday. They bring a new interim coach, Jay Woodcroft, and so often we see that a team that makes a change at coach, they get a little spark. Sometimes it's 3 games, 5 games, 7 games. We saw it, for example, with Vancouver. They hired Bruce Boudreau to replace Travis Green, and what did they win? 7 in a row. Doesn't always last. Most of the time, these teams settle back to earth. But right now, going up against the Oilers team, that just made the change first game and good time. And the surprising thing is that Edmonton is in the league right now, closer to the top. Defense remains their problem, 23rd there. Power play is 3rd in the league, 27.6%, but they haven't been as good lately. And the penalty kill, 23rd in the league, so they're vulnerable on the pay. Mikko Koskinen, Stuart Skinner, Mike Smith have the 3 goalies this year. Look, I don't know Allen at the top of this Oilers roster. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Zach Hyman. This is a very talented team. They are fun to watch, and it is going to be up to the Islanders right now to try to slow down this very fast, very talented Oilers right now in 5th place in the Pacific Division. 23-18-3, 49 points. They are 5 points behind the 4th place Flames, who the Islanders will be playing on Saturday. But Calgary has a game now. Last game, it was on Wednesday. They lost 4-1 to the Chicago Blackhawks. They have now lost 3 of their last 4. And in the last 2 games, they have been outscored 8-1. Look at their line combination. Look, Mr. Kane and Ryan Hyman, then Devin Schiff, Robert Fogel to his left, and Derek Ryan right on defense. Darnell Nurse pair, Duncan Keith and we see the second pair, William Lagesson and Tyson Oscar still on the for Koskinen is on the COVID reserve. If he'll be available again tonight's game, and that is always important. So that's the matchup with Edmonton then tonight. But the Edmonton game by for a 9 o'clock at 54 points. Playing now at the podcast, they're going up against the Maple Leafs. So they will have played a game after the Islanders, before we record, but the Islanders are doing a back-to-back, and the Flames will not be on a back-to-back. They will have in between this game. They're playing against the Maple Leafs and their game against the Islanders. You look at the Flames, much better statistically. Goals for, they're in the middle of the pack, 13th, a little above average. Goals against, they are number 1. Special teams also solid for Calgary, 12th on the power play, but 3rd in the league on the PK. So the Islanders power play, which has been inconsistent, they've got a lot of adjusting to do. Jacob Markstrom is the number 1 goalie with Vladar as backup. We know some of these talented players, and we saw Calgary when they opened up the very first ever game at the S Arena. But look, Johnny Gaudreau has 55 points to lead the team. Matthew Tkachuk, 21 goals. Andrew Mangiapane, 22 goals. Blake Coleman, 10. Elias Lindholm, 16. This is a talented team with the lineup combinations for the Flames. Lindholm, there's Tkachuk on that very dangerous top line. Mikhail Backlund centers the second line with Mangiapane and Blake Coleman on either side of him. Sean Monahan is third line pivot. Dylan Dubé to his left, right, and then Adam Ruzicka with Milan Lucic and Trevor Lewis on either side of him. On the line, it's Noah Hannafin and Rasmus Anderson is the top pair. Chris Tanev and Oliver Kylington in the middle, and then Nikita Zadorov and Eric Gabranson on the third pair. Now Markstrom, and not a lot of injuries. Tyler Pitlick listed as day-to-day. So keep an eye on that before Saturday's game. Those are the 2 matchups for the Islanders. And, we talked about wanting a minimum of 6 points on this 4-game road trip, which means you win 3 or 2 and get, 2 games to go to at least overtime, if not a shootout. But realistically, Edmonton and Calgary, 2 talented teams that it won't be easy for them to beat. Hopefully they can put together performances. If they can take, 3 points out of the 4 this weekend, you have got 5-point total already guaranteed for the out on that. We'll see if Kyle Palmieri rejoins the team. We'll tweet as soon as we hear that. Hopefully Palmieri will be able to do that. We've got more on the episode of the Locked On Islanders pod. Got our Islanders birthday today, and he is an interim head coach in the league. Now, see if you can guess who it is, and we'll look back at one of his better games with the Islanders. All that and more still to come this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season heads toward the big game this weekend. BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just football. It's not just the big game. BetOnline has up-to-the-minute info on pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, along with live, real-time updates of current games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2022 season. Bet online, where the game starts. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of time for this one. And one Islanders winner in June. He's then lose for finishing his hockey career at the end of the 2003-2004 season. King could put the puck in the net. He played in 800 NHL games, had 261 goals and 612 points, had 47 playoff games, 4 goals, 21 points there. King, a big part of the Islanders' 1993 run all the way to the conference final. He had 14 points in 18 games for the Islanders that playoff year. 40 goal season for the Isles in 91-92, 38 goals in 92-93, and 30 in 93-94. So here's a guy the team over the course tenure here. We know the game the Isles. So please cue up Brass Bonanza. On his netminder for on the board first. Some fisticuffs early on. Chase Steve Webb of the Islanders go fighting. Both of them get 5 minutes at 7:59 of the opening period. But then the Islanders get on the board. Ziggy Palffy, his 28th of the year, unassisted at 12:27, 1-0 Isles. But later in the period, the Whalers even it up. Jeff Sanderson is 25th from Keith Primo and Nelson Emerson at 16:29. All even. Islanders won, Whalers won after the first period. In the second period, though, our Islanders' birthday of the day, Derek King gets things started for the Isles. He scores his 16th goal of the year from Marty McGinnis and Travis Green at 7:12. And then at 16:29, his second of the game, 17th of the season, Travis Green assist. Isles 3, Whalers 1 after 2 periods. Then in the third, Derek King completes the hat trick. Islanders his 18th of the year. Marty McGinnis, the only assist at 7:11. Ziggy Palffy pots an empty net goal, his 29th from Travis Green at 16:03. The Whalers get a power play goal in the closing seconds. 19:29, Stephen Rice, his 15th from Glenn Wesley O'Neill. But at the end of the day, in a fight-filled that saw Stu Grimson and Steve Webb go at it in the third period, along with Kelly Chase. This was just an absolute mess in the game. But the Islanders skate away with convincing 5-2 and that trick for our birthday of the day. Congratulations, Derek King. 3 goals on 4 shots. He was a +3. And he helps the Islanders for a show, by the way. And the 34 saves, Islanders outshot by a margin of 36-32 in what really is an entertaining and rough hockey game. So again, a very happy day to Chicago Blackhawks interim head coach Derek King. He, our Islanders' birthday of the day, and he turns 55 years old today. Great week. Team. Again, get 3 out of 4 this weekend. They will get to still probably need to make in order to back into this playoff hunt. It won't be but hopefully Barry Trotz can continue to his team to play their best hockey. Want to thank everyone again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, one-stop shop for all your needs. It is hosted by your boy Q with expert insight and analysis by Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy 2 Islander hockey games and the Super Bowl. I'm picking the Rams, but kind of rooting for the Bengals, but should be an entertaining game. And thankfully, no conflict. Islanders Friday, Islanders Saturday, Super Bowl Sunday. Pretty nice weekend of sports action, plus the Olympics. Should be a good one. Enjoy, stay safe, and of course, let's go Islanders.